milestone in the history of the coronavirus pandemic. According to figures from Johns Hopkins University, COVID-19 deaths have passed the 3 million mark.
The coronavirus pandemic has now claimed 5 million lives. Nearly 2 years after the first outbreak in the Chinese city of Wuhan, COVID-19 remains the leading cause of death around the world.
Has confirmed 898 new COVID-19 cases in Trinidad and Tobago.
Contagious Delta variant of the coronavirus has spread across the Philippines, bringing the death toll to a 4-month high. The country has seen more than 29,000 deaths and nearly 1.7 million infections.
Turing ng variant of concern ng World Health Organization ang B11529 COVID variant na tatawaging Omicron.
May ng booster shot kontra COVID. At ngayon pa lang, abala na raw ang gobyerno sa pangangarap ng mga karagdagang supply na bakuna sakaling maaprubahan ito.
Aksyon ang gobyerno kung magtuturok na ng booster shot sa mga bakunado na kontra COVID-19. Pero kumikilos na raw ang pamahalaan na makapagreserba ng supply.
May ng booster shot kontra COVID. At ngayon pa lang, abala na raw ang gobyerno sa
What can we do?
You would like to be free sa tanang mga restrictions, sa lahat ng mga restrictions na dulot ng COVID-19 virus, tulungan natin ang gobyerno natin para mawakasan na ito.
I was never really skeptical about getting the vaccine, despite all of the fake news surrounding it, such as a magnet will stick to the injection site because it's mixed with some kind of metal, or you will die after 2 years, or you'll become a zombie after 2 years. It's because I did my research and I listened to the doctors and learned my facts. And I didn't really feel or experience severe side effects.
I dare everyone nga magpabaksin yon. Why? Pinaka-importante kayo ang mahitabo nga magpabaksin ang usa ka tawo. Kay ngano, wala ka ka-proteksyon sa imong kaugalingon lang, kung dili sa imong pamilya, sa imong kaparentihan, sa imong mga nagtrabaho ba ka, o sa tanang gapalibot sa imong ang pagkatao. Para maproteksyonan dili lang ikaw, kung dili sila pod. So, ingani lang ang statistic. Mas porsyento nga daghan nga nangamatay sa wala nagpabaksin kaysa nabaksinan.
Estamos todos por ti.
Padre hermoso, acá estamos todos. Tu amorcito aquí dormido.
So vaccines are defined as biopharmacy prescribed to provide adaptive immunity to a particular disease. Vaccines usually contain weakened or dead pathogens, their surface proteins, or their toxins. When this drug is introduced into the human body, the immune system can recognize and destroy the threat. In addition, the agency remembers the threat and can take appropriate action if it occurs later. It prepares your body to fight the disease faster and more effectively so you won't get sick. The act of vaccination with the vaccine is called vaccination or immunization. It is responsible for eradicating many diseases, especially infectious diseases such as smallpox and chickenpox. Edward Jenner coined the term for the technique of injecting people with a mild form of cowpox so that it is not affected by smallpox.
There are several factors that affect the spread of the virus everywhere or from one host to another. Means of transmission vary from the kind of viral infection. So for example, the COVID-19 virus can be transmitted from person to person via droplets, contacts, and mediators. Droplet infection occurs when you are in close contact with an infected person, such as by sneezing or coughing. It can also be transmitted through a pathogen in the immediate vicinity of the infected person. Therefore, the COVID-19 virus can be transmitted by direct contact with an infected person and by indirect contact with a surface in the immediate vicinity of the infected person or an object used by the infected person.
Types of diseases and treatments of virus and vaccination. Not all viral diseases are contagious. This means they aren't always spread from person to person, but many of them are. Common examples of contagious viral diseases include the flu, the common cold, HIV, and herpes. Other types of viral diseases spread through other means, such as the bite of an infected insect. Respiratory viral diseases such as flu, common cold, respiratory syncytial virus infection, adenovirus infection, parainfluenza virus infection, and the severe acute respiratory syndrome or the SARS. So viral respiratory illnesses usually heal spontaneously, but over-the-counter medications such as nasal congestion removers, cough suppressants, and painkillers can help relieve symptoms. In addition, the antiviral drug Tamiflu may be prescribed very early in the onset of influenza. So the gastrointestinal viral disease such as norovirus infection, rotavirus infection, some adenovirus infections, and the astrovirus infection. There aren't any treatments for gastrointestinal viral disease. In many cases, they resolve on their own within a day or two. In the meantime, drink plenty of fluids to replace the loss from diarrhea or vomiting. So the exanthematous viral disease such as measles, rubella, chickenpox, brucella, smallpox, fifth disease, and the chikungunya virus infection. Treating exanthematous viral diseases focuses on managing symptoms. Fever-reducing medication such as acetaminophen can help with some of the more bothersome symptoms. Antiviral drugs such as acyclovir may be given for chickenpox. Hepatic viral diseases or the hepatitis A, B, C, D, E. Treatments for hepatitis B, C, and D focus on managing symptoms. In some cases, a doctor might prescribe medications such as antiviral drugs. Treatments of hepatitis A and E involve supportive measures such as getting plenty of rest, drinking fluids, and avoiding alcohol. So the cutaneous viral diseases such as warts, including genital warts, oral herpes, genital herpes, and the molluscum contagiosum. Papules that form due to warts or molluscum contagiosum often go away on their own. They can also be removed by simple in-office procedures such as cryotherapy. There is no cure for herpes, but antiviral medications such as acyclovir can help to shorten or prevent outbreaks. So the hemorrhagic viral diseases such as Ebola, Lassa fever, dengue fever, yellow fever, hemorrhagic fever, and the Crimean Coago hemorrhagic fever. So there's no specific treatment of hemorrhagic viral diseases. It's important to stay hydrated if you have a viral hemorrhagic disease. Some people may need intravenous or the IV fluids to maintain electrolyte balance. Supportive care to maintain hydration and electrolyte balance is essential. In some cases, the antiviral drug ribavirin may be given. So the neurologic viral diseases such as polio, viral meningitis, viral encephalitis, and rabies. So there's no specific treatment for people with viral meningitis or encephalitis. Getting plenty of rest, staying hydrated, and taking OTC anti-inflammatory to ease pain or headaches can all help. In some cases, antiviral medications may be prescribed. Polio or severe cases of meningitis or encephalitis may require additional treatment such as breathing assistance or the IV fluids. If an animal that's expected to have rabies virus bites you, you'll be given a series of shots to help prevent the rabies virus from infecting you. That would be all. Thank you.
Viruses were first discovered after the development of a porcelain filter called the Chamberlain Pasteur filter. This could remove all bacteria visible in the microscope from any liquid sample. And around 1886 to 1903 were the discovery period where the viruses were actually found. So now we ask the question, where did viruses come from? So there is much debate among virologists about this question. but there are three main hypotheses that have been articulated to answer this question. First is the progressive or escape hypothesis, which states that viruses arouse from the genetic elements that gain the ability to move between cells. Second is the regressive or reduction hypothesis, which asserts that viruses are remnants of cellular organisms. And lastly is the virus first hypothesis, which states that viruses predate or co-evolve with their current cellular host. So the progressive and regressive hypothesis both assumes that cells existed before viruses, but what if viruses existed first? So recently, several investigators proposed that viruses may have been the first replicating entities. So Kunin and Martin postulated that viruses existed in a pre-cellular world as a self-replacing units. So over time, these units, they argue, became more organized and more complex. Then eventually, enzymes for the synthesis of membranes and cell walls evolved, resulting in the formation of cells. Viruses may have existed first before bacteria, archaea, or eukaryotes. So a key step in the virus evolutionary journey seems to have come about around 1.5 billion years ago. So that's the age at which the team estimated the 66 virus-specific protein folds come on the scene. So these changes are to proteins in the virus outer coat, which is the machinery virus's mechanism to break into host cells. So a U.S. Army physician named Walter Reed discovered the first human virus in 1901. However, diseases caused by viruses were well known before, but viruses as a distinct entity came to light only during the late 1800s. The onset of viruses led to the discoveries of the vaccines. So now we ask the question, how did people or scientists discover vaccines? So Edward Jenner is considered the founder of vaccinology in the West in 1796. After he inoculated a 13-year-old boy with vaccinia virus or cowpox and demonstrated immunity to smallpox. So inoculation was actually originated in India or China sometime before 200 BC, but the concept of immunization, or how to artificially induce the body to resist infection, received a big boost in 1796. This is when physician Edward Jenner inoculated a young boy in England and successfully prevented him from getting the smallpox. So by then, the smallpox vaccine was invented during the same year by Edward Jenner himself. So what is a vaccine? A vaccine can give active immunity against a specific harmful agent by stimulating the immune system to attack the agent. Once stimulated by a vaccine, the antibody-producing cells, called B cells or B lymphocytes, remain sensitized and ready to respond to the agent should it ever gain entry to the body again. So, aside from that, a vaccine may also give passive immunity by providing antibodies or lymphocytes already made by an animal or a human donor. So vaccines are usually administered by injection, but some are given orally or even nasally. Then, vaccines applied to mucosal surfaces such as the lining of the gut or nasal passages seem to have stimulate a greater antibody response and may be the most effective route of administration. Vaccines applied to mucosal surfaces such as those lining of the gut or nasal passages seem to stimulate a greater antibody response and may be the most effective route of administration.
So recent discoveries, scientists recently discovered 28 previously unknown viruses in a core sample of ice from a glacier in China's Tibetan Plateau region. As glaciers around the world continue to shrink, more and more viruses and microbes that have been frozen for possibly hundreds of thousands of years will be exposed, the researchers said in the paper. That gives scientists more opportunity to study this largely unknown field, but in a worst-case scenario, this ice melt could release pathogens into the environment, they said. The scientists also said that they fear the microbes and viruses could be lost forever if they aren't cataloged before the glaciers harboring them melt. So aside from the unknown viruses that have been discovered from glaciers, health authorities in Guinea had confirmed one death from Marburg virus, a highly infectious hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola, the World Health Organization says. It marks the first time that a deadly disease has been identified in West Africa. So another latest discovery is the virus named RPYNO6 was discovered by a team of researchers from Shandong First Medical University and Shandong Academy of Medical Sciences in Tainan. Scientists in China have found a new virus which they said is similar to SARS-CoV-2 that causes the COVID-19 disease.
So, get to know the facts, then get the vax.